So I received a lot of requests to make a stats and ECs video, so here it is. I'm going to be breaking down my application just as an admission officer would in that order. And just to briefly give context, I came from a large public high school in San Diego. I think the class size was about 538, and I'm a straight Asian Indian. So first with grades. Grades were very easily the weak point in my application. And this is what I think got me rejected from so many universities that I didn't think I would get rejected from. So for starters, I had a 4.0 weighted GPA and an 3.8 unweighted GPA. One thing that did help me ease my GPA a little bit was the fact that I got so many B's freshman year. Like freshman year, for example, I think I got like 6, 7 B's. And sophomore year and junior year, I had maybe 2 or 3 or 4 combined of those 2 years. So obviously, majority of my B's came from freshman year, and admissions officers could see an upward trend with better course or more advanced coursework. And I'm sure that probably helped in one way or another, but still, my GPA was very low for the schools I was applying to. I will say it's quite a transition to go from online school and middle school, where I basically just didn't even go to class, to in-person quarter schedule high school taking honors and advanced courses. It was difficult for me, and that definitely reflected my GPA. And next for honors, this is probably the biggest strong point of my application. I had first San Diego County top 25 or most remarkable teens, where the mayor, or I guess the government, selects 25 teens in San Diego that are, I guess, most remarkable. So I was selected, and this counts as school, state, regional, and I received that in 12th grade before I started applying to all my colleges. Next, for 2 consecutive years, I won the Hershey Heartwarming grant. I was a recipient for 2 years, and this was a national award. And I received that both in 10th grade and 11th grade. Next, I received Princeton's Prize Race Relation Award in 11th grade. That would be state and regional. I also was awarded the Rotary Youth Leadership Award in 11th grade, as well as National History Day documentary state semifinalist in 9th grade. Okay, next for testing. Testing, I was completely test optional. I was starting to study for the ACT, and at that time I was also doing research, and I realized I just couldn't balance the two. So I chose to go research and just completely abandon my ACT, and I did horribly on it. I'm not going to tell you my score because it was pretty embarrassing, but I was test optional. I'm sure, having a test score would have helped in some way. All right, next for ECs, this was also a very big strong point of application. Easily my most impressive EC was that I'm an actual attorney. Yes, you heard that right. I am an actual attorney. I present cases in front of a judge and jury. I'm not admitted by the California Bar Association, and I can make another video explaining everything about this later, but essentially that was my biggest EC. And I did this for 4 years. And really, you can't get anywhere closer to being an actual lawyer if you're an actual lawyer. This was for sure one of my biggest ECs. I wrote so many essays about this, and it was definitely helpful. I got my letter of rec as well from my advisor. Next, for my second biggest EC, I started a nonprofit called realvoices.org. There, I use filmmaking to amplify youth voices, youth refugee voices. San Diego has the most number of refugees in all of California. And so I would use filmmaking to just tell their stories and just get their voices out. And I worked on Real Voices for all 4 years as well. Next, I worked for the government. I was a youth leader for San Diego County, which meant that I was being paid to go through different mentorship programs and to work under attorney and a policy analyst. And I did that my summer before senior year. Next, I was a research assistant under a UCSD professor. I didn't get any publications, but I still was able to get research done. If you go to refugeesandiego.org, you can see Real Voices there and some of my work. Next, I had a side business where I'd help nonprofits with just filming and editing and promotional videos and documentaries and other things. And I did this all 4 years as well. I also served on 2 county boards. I served on San Diego's Human Relations Commission as the only youth commissioner, and I served on the San Diego Youth Commission as the chairman of the youth. Mind you, people have to get appointed to the youth commission, and you have to be appointed again to the chairman position. You have to be elected to the chairman position. And for the Human Relations Commission, I was the only youth commissioner, which meant that I was representing the entire youth body of San Diego when talking about human relations. Next, I did the UCSD Youth Ambassador Scholar Program, and that was in 10th grade. Next, I participated in Boys and Girls State California, which is a week-long program where you go to Sacramento and you just run a mock government. Pretty prestigious. It's run by the American Legion, and we actually heard Gavin Newsom speak. Next, I was a pretrial attorney for my high school mock trial team. Only senior year, junior year, I was a bailiff, and sophomore year, I was an alternate witness. And finally, I was the president of my school's film club. For writing, I wrote about a ton of different topics, and I will go into that in another video because there was just so much to cover, and I don't want this video to be too long. All right, next for majors, this one really was interesting. For me, I applied as a PPE major for some schools. PPE is Policy, Philosophy, Economics, and for some schools like Claremont McKenna, Duke, Emory, USC, UMich, and so many others, This was like a triple major almost, just into one major. It wasn't as selective. I got waitlisted by a lot of the schools that had PPE majors, so it was better than doing poli-sci, which is what I did for my other schools, but it was a more specialized and personalized major. And as I said earlier, the majority of schools that I applied for was just poli-sci. And finally, for other factors to consider, I was born in the US and I'm an older brother in college right now. And as well, I come from a middle to high income family. Both my parents were born and went to college in America, so that makes me second gen. All right, so there's a lot to take away from this, and I'll make another video about my advice, but I want to say one thing really quickly. One thing that did help me progress in math specifically, because I've always done well in English, I've always done well in history and all those other subjects, was Crossroads Tutoring. Crossroads Tutoring is a tutoring company that helps you with literally whatever you need. They help me with Integrated 1, Integrated 2, Integrated 3, all the way up to calculus. It was something that I literally depended on for all my math classes. Even in college now, when I'm going to college next year at UCI, I'm going to use Crossroads Tutoring because they were just that good. I've been in and out with a lot of different tutoring companies, and it was only Crossroads Tutoring when I actually found my place. And that's why I was able to have that upward trend in grade progression because I used Crossroads Tutoring. I was able to come from just getting consistent B's, consistent 80s on tests, to consistent 90s, even 100s on tests. I know that none of that would have been possible without Crossroads Tutoring. If you mention my name, Milan Shah, you will get the first session free, so you can just see if you even like it or not. And there really is no harm in that. Try your first session. Just see if you even like them. See if you actually just vibe with them and you get along well. And if that's the case, I encourage you, go for it. Excel in your math classes, excel in all your STEM classes with Crossroads Tutoring, because at the end of the day, I want you guys to get the same help that I was able to get for myself. If any of you are struggling with math, science, anything in that realm, use Crossroads Tutoring and use Milan Shah, my name, as a reference, and you'll get the first session for free. With that said, that's about it. I will come up with new videos about my writing as well as advice in further detail and other videos like that. Stay tuned, stay subscribed, and don't forget to like it.